Okay, we are going to now learn how to use the Shape Builder tool. We just used the pen tool to trace the Nike swoosh here. So to set up our document for this next task, we are going to go down to the Add New Layer button. And it created a layer that it's titled Layer 3. We are just going to title this layer Shape Builder, just to keep things separate. Now, because we don't need either our sketch layer or our trace layer at this point, I'm going to go ahead and make those layers invisible by clicking on the visibility toggle, which is the eye icon. The reason I like to make these invisible is if you're working on a project with lots of different designs, it's helpful to be able to remove parts of the design without deleting them from the project. So we can get rid of them when we don't need them. We can bring them back when we do. Now I need to make sure I've clicked on this layer, and we are going to create a simple cloud icon using the Shape Builder tool. Okay. Now over here in our toolbar, we have used the selection tool, which is for moving and resizing, the direct selection tool, which allows us to edit individual anchor points, and we have used the pen tool. Now, if we go down here to the rectangle tool, we'll notice something. Next to the rectangle tool, there is a little white triangle, and that is the indicator that there is a drop-down menu here. And if we click and hold, it opens up the other shapes that we can create. We're going to grab the ellipse tool, which is a fancy word for circles and circular rounded shapes. We are going to now create our cloud shape in the Shape Builder layer, okay, by making a bunch of circular shapes and putting these all together, and you can form kind of whatever shape you want for your cloud. And it really doesn't matter exactly how you do this. We'll fill that in. Okay, so we have kind of a generic cloud shape here. Now for the purposes of this, I want to cut this off at the bottom so that it has a hard edge on the bottom of the cloud for just style purposes. So I will go back up here to the shape tool. I will click and hold for the drop down menu. I will get a rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and put that all the way across the cloud. Now, using the selection tool, I want to select all of these items by clicking and dragging. Now you can see the outlines there of all of these overlapping shapes, and this is where the Shape Builder tool can be useful. To find the Shape Builder tool, you will notice there are two circles next to each other with some dots through the center and an arrow. We're going to click on that. Now I'm going to zoom in so you can see what's going on here. Notice next to the black arrow with my Shape Builder tool, I have a plus sign. That means when I click and drag, I can unite any overlapping shapes into one larger shape. Okay, so everything that is above this line, I want to be in one big shape, and everything that is below the line of the rectangle, I want to actually remove, and I have both options. But first, if you will notice, I'm going to click and drag. I'm going to drag through until I create my shape. There are other ways to unite these shapes. This is just one. You'll notice it's now created this shape, and I'm going to then drop down and try to get rid of these. Now I could just use the selection tool and delete them, or I can hold Alt, which then brings up the minus sign. Notice how the sign next to the arrow changes from a plus to a minus to let me know I'm subtracting. So now I can hold Alt and drag through, and it is now going to subtract whatever I drag my cursor through, and I let go, and there is my shape. Now I don't really like red for a cloud shape, so let's just get a softer or a cooler blue color. Call that good. Now if I go to the direct selection tool, again I have the option to kind of edit my shape. So if I don't like some of these shapes on the anchor points, I mean, I could go through and, update this and come out with a shape that I like more. Maybe I want to get rid of one of these anchor points, this one. I can delete this by going up here to anchors and hitting this remove selected anchor point. That gives me just this anchor that I'm working with. I can adjust it until I'm happy with the shape. So you can play around with that, update the shape of your cloud until you are satisfied. But that is how you use the shape builder tool to create a larger shape.